Good morning.
Good morning.
Our scripture reading this morning comes from Psalm 37, verses 1 through 11. This is the exhortation to patience and trust of David. Do not fret because of the wicked. Do not be envious of wrongdoers, for they will soon fade like the grass and wither like the green herb. Trust in the Lord and do good, so you will live in the land and enjoy security. Take delight in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. Commit your way to the Lord, trust in him, and he will act. He will make your vindication shine like the light, and the justice of your cause like the noonday. Be still before the Lord, and wait patiently for him. Do not fret over those who prosper in their way, over those who carry out evil devices. Refrain from anger and forsake wrath. Do not fret. It leads only to evil. For the wicked shall be cut off, but those who wait for the Lord shall inherit the land. Yet a little while, and the wicked will be no more. Though you look diligently for their place, they will not be there. But the meek shall inherit the land and delight themselves in abundant prosperity. The word of the Lord for the people of God.
Thanks be to God.
My guess is that nearly everyone in here can probably remember our nation's bicentennial. 1976, we celebrated 200 years of independence, 200 years of being the United States of America. The Declaration of Independence was signed on July 4th, 1776. And those of us who can remember will remember what a great July 4th that was, all over the country. Lots and lots of celebrations and fireworks and a great time. Now, if you lived in Grand Prairie, you might have been lucky enough that you got to see the musical 1776. And if you got to see the musical 1776, because it was done here in celebration of the bicentennial, but if you got to see 1776, then you also had the privilege of seeing one of our members, Chuck Edwards, who was playing the character of John Adams. And John Adams, at least within the musical 1776, was the primary character. And indeed, he was one of the primary movers in order to get the Declaration signed, and then became our second president along the way. Well, I'm mentioning John Adams because Adams had a quote. He had an understanding of what you and I would call commitment, and I wanted to read to you. All right, Carrie, let's see if that second slide will come up. This is John Adams' thought about commitment. There are only two creatures of value on the face of the earth: those with the commitment and those who require the commitment of others. There are only two creatures of value on the face of the earth: those with the commitment and those who require the commitment of others. For the past several weeks, the sermon series has been Things We Need and Things We Agree On. Things we need is fairly easy. I mean, I got science backing me up. If you don't eat, you're going to starve. If you don't have shelter, you're going to melt. All kinds of things. So things we need, we can agree on that. But once we get around to saying things we agree on, there's always the danger that whatever I pick, somebody may say, I don't agree with that at all. But I'm going to take another stab at it this morning, and I'm going to say that we agree about commitment. We agree about commitment. Now, I've been thinking about commitment a lot, and it occurs to me there are at least two very broad categories of commitment. And the first broad category of commitment, well, let me put it this way. How many of you have ever taken out a student loan, or have ever taken out a house loan, or have ever taken out a car loan, okay? A lot of us. Before anybody would lend you money, what did you have to do? paperless society, no wonder the forests are dying, okay? But you sign all kinds of paperwork. You sign paperwork, and usually there had to be somebody with a special seal from the state of Texas. There had to be a notary public there, didn't there? Have you seen how much you have to sign these days in order to get a house? Cars bad enough. This is the great paperless society we live in. That kind of commitment is the kind of commitment where we don't trust each other. I mean, let's face it, those commitments can be long-term. Car commitment can be up to 5 years. Sometimes it goes a little longer than 5 years. And a house commitment? A house commitment could go 30 or 40 years. No wonder we don't trust each other. We don't even trust the bank's going to be around in 40 years here in Texas. That's a long-term commitment. And before somebody is going to give you money, and for you to say that you'll pay it back, they're not going to believe you, and so they're going to make you sign your life away. They're going to do background checks. They're going to go running around in your bank to see how much. They want to know how much you make in your salary or how much it's going to pay. And that's because we don't trust each other. We don't trust each other. And so that kind of commitment requires a whole lot of paperwork and a whole lot of witnesses and a whole lot of stamping and a whole lot of filing somewhere. So the first broad category is the kind of commitment that we don't trust each other. Yeah, okay, we'll make a commitment, but only if I know where you're going to be in 40 years. Now, the other kind of commitment, of course, doesn't have paperwork, and sometimes those two mix. And when I conduct a wedding, for instance, I do fill out some paperwork. I fill out paperwork on behalf of the state of Texas because the state of Texas doesn't trust us. The state of Texas does not trust us, and so I have to fill out a form. You had to go for it first. You remember when you had to go to the courthouse and you had to say something and you had to both register there, prove that you were over 18 or you had consent or whatever it was you had to do. And then you brought me that marriage certificate. In fact, I'm hyperactive about it at the wedding rehearsal. If you don't have that wedding certificate, you have to go get it before we even have a wedding rehearsal. But you brought that to a pastor somewhere, and the pastor, you see, at that point acts as an agent of the state. And so the next day, when I married you, I signed that form, and because I don't trust the post office, I make a copy of it. And then I mail it off to the county clerk, and the county clerk files it and stamps it. And then it's on record, because the state does not trust the fact that you and I are going to stay together if we say so. But you see, that's a mixture, because the reality is that when people come to a church to get married, when they come to a pastor wanting to get married by a pastor, then something else enters into it. Because it's not just an agreement, a commitment between two people. At this point, then they brought in the third party. Because weddings that are done within a church by a pastor are a three-way commitment. Because at that point, God has gotten involved. And the interesting thing is that when God gets involved in our commitments, God believes us. And so the commitment was made not by signing a document and mailing it off to the county clerk. The commitment was made with words. And they are some of the very oldest words in modern English. To have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. And it does not matter. You can watch a movie made in the 1950s. You can watch a movie made yesterday. And if there's a wedding scene, those are the words that get used because all of us recognize them. And it's those words that make the commitment. And the interesting thing is that when we bring God into it, God believes our words. Now, it does not mean that every commitment holds together. Some commitments break apart. We are human, and we understand that. God understands that too. But when we come and we say, well, we would like to commit this, God believes us. And God's in there pitching for us. We have another time coming up when the commitment we don't believe somebody and the commitment that only it was requiring words get mixed up. This is no longer called a pledge card. That's because some idiot church, either back in the 70s or the 80s, was going downhill, didn't have enough money, and they were so desperate that they went back through their pledge cards, called the people who hadn't paid, and threatened to sue them. Now that is the most stupid thing I've ever heard of a church doing. Okay? That's just dumb. That's not going to get us anywhere. So we no longer have pledge cards, we have estimate of giving cards. Okay? We have estimate of giving cards. And the thing is that these are not legal documents. Nobody's asking you to commit something to paper because that'll make you keep it. This is an estimate so that Rita can look at it, make a total, and then tell the finance committee, well, here's the total. And the finance committee says, well, that gives us a place to start for planning. This isn't the commitment, this is an estimate. The commitment is between us and God. And when we say to God, all right, God, I'm not at 10% yet, but I'm working on it. So last year, I gave 3% of my income, and look, I'm still here. This year, I'm going to go for 4. And God believes us. And sure, you may write it down. That's what the finance committee really appreciates that, because that gives them a place to start planning. But that's not the commitment. The commitment is between us and God. All right, God, I'm going for it. I've been at 8%, and I'm just going to skip right ahead to 10%, see if I can tithe this year. And God believes us. There's the kind of commitment that nobody believes anybody. And then there's the kind of commitment where we do believe each other, and it's words that bind us together. And a great many of you have used words in here that bound you into a commitment, and you didn't have to sign a single form. At some point or another, those of you who joined this church, you promised, well, most of you probably promised 4 things. The United Methodist Church now pitched in a 5th thing that we promised. But you promised 5 things. I will support the United Methodist Church with my prayers, my presence, my gifts, my service, and nowadays, of course, my witness. But nobody made you sign a document. Nobody got the notary public to come in. When you came down here and you said those words, God believes you. The church believes you. When you said those words, nobody did a background check on your prior churches. Nobody checked up on how it was going. You came down front, you promised those things, and God believes you. God believes you that you're going to pray every day. It would be really nice if you pray for the church every day. God believes you when you said, I will be present in worship unless I'm sick or out of town, and even if you're out of town, you probably ought to find somewhere to worship. God believes you when you say, I'm going to commit a percentage of my income to giving to the church. God believes you when you say, yes, I'm going to serve. I'm going to serve in the church. I'm going to be public about it. I'm going to serve in an office, or I'm going to do something so quiet, I'm going to clean the pews, and the only way anybody ever knows that you do that is if it doesn't happen. And I'm going to serve in the community. Here comes the shop clinic on Tuesday of this week. Here comes the food pantry on Saturday this week. I'll witness. I will be a faithful witness to the love of Jesus Christ for his world. You said those 5 things, and God believes you. And the church believes you. We believe that you made a commitment. At least broadly, there are two kinds of commitments. A commitment where nobody believes each other, and the kind of commitment where if you say it, we're going to believe it. John Adams said there are only two creatures with value on the face of the earth: those with the commitment and those who require the commitment of others. And I think that commitment is something we can agree on. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.